Since its earliest title, Armored Core has always had a large selection of weapon types, from sniper rifles and machine guns to laser blades and grenade launchers. There's something here for everyone. However, today I want to focus on perhaps the most diverse weapon type of them all, the missile launcher. Missiles distinguish themselves from direct fire weapons with their homing abilities. That is, their ability to alter direction mid-flight to track targets as they move. This makes them more effective at longer ranges where their homing abilities are given enough time to shine. While missiles don't have a monopoly on long-range firefights, even small movements from a target can cause direct fire weapons to miss at longer ranges, which can sometimes lead to frustratingly inconsistent results. The required lock-on time of missiles also tends to subtly push players into using them into longer range fights, as each time an enemy escapes the lockbox is typically more costly than with other weapon types. In earlier generations of Armored Core, missiles are one of the few weapon types that can be used in a back weapon slot without restriction. They fulfill an especially important niche for many two-legged ACs, being a reliable damage dealer that doesn't require them to crouch in place or resort to manual aiming. We predictably start with Generation 1, and even in the earliest games, we have a large variety of missiles to choose from. For better or worse, most missiles in this generation tend to fly rather quickly. Their fast projectile speed makes them difficult to dodge reliably, but also doesn't allow them to take full advantage of their homing abilities. After just a single generation, Armored Core 2 massively shakes up the missile meta, perhaps the most significant shift in the whole franchise. Starting as early as the first mission, we quickly learn that missiles move much slower than before, to the point that missiles fired at long range may take several seconds to reach you. The missiles are also much more visible, giving off a big yellow light. Both of these together serve to make players very aware of incoming damage, and consequentially encourages them to dodge them. While the slower missile speed makes it much more feasible to react to and dodge, on the whole, you'll find that missiles are remarkably accurate now that they have more time to course correct. Armored Core 2 also introduces the Relation Missile, an interlocking system that automatically fires whenever you fire another missile system. This can allow for some very threatening missile barrages. Missiles are much stronger in Generation 2, but it didn't leave players without options to deal with them. Two very important counters were given: the anti-missile systems and missile decoys. Used alone or in combination with dodging maneuvers, this served to counter the power of missile systems in Generation 2. Early Generation 3 largely maintains the status quo when it comes to missiles. However, missiles were also made a fair bit less visible, the distinctive yellow glow being significantly toned down and having visibility closer in line with Generation 1. Also in Generation 3, we see our first mission strictly dedicated to dodging missiles. While previous games might have missions where you were constantly being bombarded with enemy missiles, this is the first mission where the whole point is to avoid missiles to the best of your ability. It's at this point that I think FromSoft started to realize they had something rather special on their hands. This mission style would be revisited several times in Nexus and Ninebreaker. Starting from Nexus, missiles were once again made more visible. The overall homing ability was also toned down slightly. A noteworthy new missile type was also added, the micromissile. It would fire many low-damage missiles in a spread pattern. These barrages, while impressive looking, were not too difficult for most ACs to avoid. They did, however, make a bigger spectacle of fights and continue to give me a small dopamine hit whenever I managed to sidestep these walls of damage. Despite the increased focus on back cannons and dual wielding in Generation 4, missiles continued to be a powerful weapon choice. The method of missile lock-on changed somewhat, now requiring holding down the fire button to lock on and releasing to launch. All missile systems could now launch with a single lock, but you could also split your missile barrage amongst multiple targets if you continued to lock on for longer. Thanks to the introduction of quick boost and generally high-speed combat, an individual missile was easier than ever to simply dodge. But the wide array of viable missile types each had their own unique way of making things more difficult. From high-action homing missiles to proximity high-explosive missiles, to just sheer sun-blocking volumes of missiles, evasion with boosters alone could become an overwhelming task. The missile countermeasures were also updated this generation. Anti-missile extensions and decoys were replaced with flares, which proved very effective and could provide extended periods of safety. Certain weapon types could also target and shoot down missiles. Notably, machine guns were particularly effective at this task. A machine gun firing on a missile user could quickly destroy all missiles right in their face, the resulting explosion causing a large chunk of damage on the missile user. In Generation 5, a lot of things changed, and missiles were no exception. Missiles were now equipped inside the shoulder of your arms. Shoulder weapons could be fired simultaneously with your equipped arm weapons, allowing for potentially massive amounts of damage output. If an arm part had 2 spots for shoulder weapons, you could fire twice as much devastation at a time. However, you would not get twice the ammo. It's not all sunshines and rainbows, however. Many other weapons and specialty equipment were also forced into this equipment slot, which means you often had to make some tough choices. On top of that, because of the new defensive mechanics introduced in Generation 5, there was always a chance that your missiles just wouldn't accomplish much, planking off for minimal damage. When I started playing Armored Core back in the day, missiles were far from my favorite weapon type. They just filled spots on my AC out of necessity, being another reliable weapon available as backup. Over time, however, I've come to fall in love with them. The damage they do, the overwhelming salvos of destruction. I hope by watching this video, maybe I've instilled a little bit of that love in you too. I'm looking forward to all the new missile systems that will be available in the fast-approaching Armored Core 6. Subscribe for more of that content when it drops. Also, let me know in the comments what your favorite missile setup is. That's all for now. This has been Ayo. Take it easy. Bye.